Hi everybody, welcome back. Stu Clark. Another beautiful day here on the island. It was supposed to be partly cloudy and it's snowing. Yeah, early spring weather. You never really know what you're going to get. So today we're going to take a look at, it's actually a feature probably many of you have played with one part of it. You might not have realized what the second part did. So this is under the custom settings menu. It's D14 in the display bank. And so what this is the release timing indicator. So today we're going to take a look at one of those features that you all will have dove into one part of this setting, but maybe not the other. So this is it's under D14 and the display, and this is the release timing indicator. So back in the DSLR days, SLR days, it was more of a tactic, haptic experience taking photos. The shutter, the mirror, and a lot of that was both audible and visual. When you're looking through the viewfinder, you get the blackout, you would hear it. And for me as a photographer that's shooting in low light conditions like I'm in right now, a large part of my shooting experience was once I get to a certain shutter speed, I knew that I had to be on a tripod. I would be starting to get into that danger zone where any subject movement at all would start to become blurry. So between needing to go on a tripod or also kind of really timing it for the movement of my subject. And so this feature, so the release timing indicator, the first part of it is about how the camera shows you that it's taking photographs. So type A is actually a blackout. So it's actually very similar to back in the day. To every photo, you get the blackout in the screen through the viewfinder. Obviously, whole point of going mirrorless and one of the amazing features of the Z8 is that it's blackout free shooting. So following a subject, anything like that, it's amazing. You're not having that blackout. So that's actually one of the big reasons we bought these cameras is to not have that happen. So obviously for me, type A doesn't really make sense for normal shooting. Type B, which is white lines flashed on the side of the viewfinder, and that's my personal preference. I find it's unobtrusive, but you can visually see that you're taking photographs. In combination, if you have sound or silent mode, whatever, you can still see through the viewfinder taking photographs. However, the second part of this is kind of what we're talking about today. And this is the part that in places like this where you're going to be shooting in those low light conditions, it's a way to get feedback to the camera that you're kind of getting down to the danger zone of shutter speeds, shall we say. So this is type A auto restore delay. So what that means is, and from the factory it's set at 1/6 of a second. So chances that you've encountered it just normal shooting be quite rare. So you might not even realize what it did. So you just kind of left it at where it came from the factory in default and not realize how beneficial it can be to your photography. So what this does is that when you hit that 1/6 of a second, the default, it switches from type B, so the flashing lines, to type A, which is the blackout. So it's basically giving you a visual experience through the viewfinder. All of a sudden you get a blackout, kind of very similar to the DSLR days. So for me, out in these conditions, if I'm going out looking for owls, a lot of times it'll be evening, early morning, and you're going to be out in kind of very, very low light conditions. There's a certain point, basically with this camera, handheld, I'm about 1/60 of the second where I find I need to switch over to being on a tripod. And so basically, if you set that type A, set the restore auto delay to say 1/60 of a second, at that point, I start getting blackout in my shutter. So this is especially beneficial if you're shooting an aperture priority. You might not run into it as much now if you shoot manual mode with auto ISO, but it definitely, if you're an aperture priority shooter, this is a real must to set this. And this is going to depend obviously on your lenses, on you, how stable you are, the type of subject you're going out to photograph. But basically what you want to do is you want to set that the minimum shutter on there to wherever you find that you need to switch to a tripod or you're struggling to kind of get sharp photographs. Like I said, for me, it's about 1/60th second, even maybe 1/30th. So what happens is when you're shooting there, once the camera gets down, you know, aperture priority, you're as it's getting darker, shutter speeds are getting slower. Once you get to that danger zone, it will visually start blacking out the viewfinder so that you visually can see that, uh-oh, I need to either bump my ISO up or put it on a tripod in order to maintain maximum sharpness of the camera. So I'll show you from the back. Unfortunately with this one, I actually can't record it through the viewfinder. I tried previously and it doesn't, this feature does not record through the viewfinder. So I'll record it on the back of the camera and give you an idea of what I'm talking about, and then you can visually see how it works. So give you a quick demonstration of the different types. So type A, you can see the way it's slightly blacking out there. Type B, which is my preference, which are the white lines down the sides there. Type C, which is even fainter lines down the side. So if you want less, but just very, very slight lines. But so when you look at type A auto restore, okay, so you see the white lines. So what happens is when I change my shutter speed, so when I'm at 1/40th of a second, you'll hear it a little bit, but it's still just the white lines. As soon as I change to 1/30th of a second, I get the blackout. So yeah, that was just a quick video today. It's just one of those features that, like I said, it's quite hidden and something you probably might not even pick up on the manual for how it works. And by default set at 1/6, you probably rarely run into it, so you might not realize what's happening. But it's super useful for both landscape, wildlife, different shooting settings for sure. And yeah, I hope that helps. Another little tip. If this helps you out, please like and subscribe. Until next time, we'll see you out there.